Shalom, shalom. On today's program, we're continuing our series, Israel at War. We're going to cover the question, what is Gaza, and more. Stay tuned. Shalom, welcome to Ma'oz Israel. On today's program, we continue our series, Israel at War. We want Christians to understand the context behind what is happening now in Israel. So today we're discussing in this program, what is Gaza? The Gaza Strip, a Palestinian area spanning 141 square miles near the southwestern corner of Israel. It borders Egypt, Israel, and the Mediterranean Sea. This region is densely populated with over 2 million Palestinians and is named after its largest city, Gaza, which has very deep historical significance. Following Israel's departure in 2005, Gaza came under the administration of Hamas, a group supported by Iran and designated as a terrorist organization by numerous countries. This group forcibly removed the Fatah-led Palestinian Authority in 2007. With Iran's assistance, Hamas has initiated several major assaults on Israel from Gaza, including incidents in 2008, 2009, 2014, 2021, and the most recent and worst attack on October 7, 2023. This resulted in deaths of over 1,200 Israelis and injuries to more than 12,000. The approximately 260 hostages that were taken is unprecedented, and the firing of thousands of rockets from Gaza. Hamas gained control over Gaza following Israel's disengagement in 2005. This was a very bitter time in Israel's history as it forcibly removed all Israeli citizens, nearly 10,000, from Gaza. And this was done in hopes that this enormous gesture towards peace would be received. However, now we know that this act was not viewed as an act of peace, but one of weakness. And this was the point when the current invasion in Israel was starting to be planned by Hamas over 18 years ago. Hamas won the 2006 Palestinian elections, a move which was largely interpreted as a rejection of Fatah, the previously dominant political party that was perceived by many in Gaza as being corrupt. So now a new generation of Gazans were raised only knowing Hamas, and they began to even more aggressively push their agenda to annihilate the Jewish state. Currently, half of Gaza's population has only known life under Hamas's rule, having been born after the group's accession to power. In the aftermath of its electoral success, Hamas executed a violent coup in Gaza in 2007, murdering and expelling Fatah officials, dissolving the unity government, and causing a territorial split between Gaza and the West Bank. And since then, no further elections have taken place. The Gaza Strip, with its fish-abundant Mediterranean coastline and temperate weather, has been a human habitation since ancient times. However, recent images of demolished buildings, smoke columns, underscore Gaza's long history of conflict, a reality seemingly anticipated by prophets like Jeremiah, Amos, and Zephaniah. Let's go back further in history to learn more about Gaza. After being conquered by Muslim general Amir ibn al-As in 637 AD, Islam emerged as the prevailing faith in Gaza. We read in Jeremiah 47, 1-5, the word of the Lord that came to Jeremiah the prophet against the Philistines before Pharaoh smote Gaza. Thus says the Lord, behold, waters rise up out of the north, and shall be an overflowing flood. Then the men shall cry, and all the inhabitants of the land shall howl. Baldness has come upon Gaza, meaning the Gazans will shave their head in mourning of all the disasters that were to take place. Gaza's history is marked by a series of calamities, including wars, destruction, earthquakes, plagues, and floods. It has been repeatedly razed and reconstructed, and it has fallen under the rule of various conquerors. Despite these challenges, there have been times of flourishing with diverse communities, including Philistines, Israelites, and others coexisting peacefully at different times, albeit short periods of time. Human settlements in the region dates back to 3000 BC at Tel Sakan, just south of present-day Gaza. Remarkably, the city's name has remained unchanged over millennia, with early Egyptian texts referring to Gaza or Raza. Egypt's influence in Gaza has been very significant, given its very close geographic proximity. Pharaoh Thutmose III expanded this influence by conquering Gaza in 1468 BC, marking the beginning of a 350-year period of Egyptian domination. Gaza served as a key administrative and military base in Canaan, and until the Philistines took control in the 12th century BC. The Philistine era is notably referenced in the Bible, with Gaza's inhabitants described as giants. The biblical narrative of Samson, a hero during the era of the Judges, highlights Gaza during the Philistine rule. His particularly dramatic story of bringing down the city gates is a pivotal moment. Now, they've also found a stone seal discovered in 2012 near the Tel Beit Shemesh area that dates back to the 11th century BC and has been linked to this biblical story. Suggests that there's a connection to the era and, of course, Samson's legend. Gaza experienced Jewish governance for the first time under King David in the 11th century BC. Although this period was very brief, the city's strategic importance led to a series of conquests by various powers, including the Assyrians, Persians, and notably Alexander the Great in 332 BC, which ushered in a period of prosperity and introduced Greek cultural influences. However, this peace was fleeting. Gaza faced numerous subsequent conquests, reconstructions, including significant periods under Jewish, Roman, and later Byzantine rule. The city thrived as a trade center during Roman times and saw a resurgence under Emperor Hadrian, who built a stadium there. Gaza's diverse population over the centuries, including Philistines, Greeks, Romans, Jews, Egyptians, Persians, Bedouins, all reflecting its role as a cultural and commercial hub. The arrival of Islam in Gaza in 637 AD followed the conquest of the Muslims in the area, and it marked a significant shift. Arabic became the official language, and most residents converted to Islam. And despite being destroyed in 796 due to tribal conflicts, Gaza was rebuilt in the 9th century. Throughout the Middle Ages, Gaza saw further control changes, including periods under the Mamluk and Ottoman Empire, and it was captured again by the British Empire in 1917 during World War I. Post-World War I, Gaza was part of the British Mandate for Palestine until 1948, when it came under the Egyptian control following the Arab rejection of the UN partition plan and the subsequent Arab-Israeli conflict. The status of Gaza as a no-man's land under Egyptian rule changed following the Israeli conquest in the Sinai campaign of 1956 and again in 1967. And despite the return of Sinai to Egypt in 1979, Gaza remained an exception. The influence of Egypt continued through the establishment of Hamas, which was an offshoot of Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood. Israelis living in Gaza post the Six-Day War were evacuated in 2005 as part of Israel's disengagement plan, as we mentioned earlier. However, Hamas's takeover in 2007 is just the latest chapter in Gaza's long history of conquest and changes in governance, continuing its complex and tumultuous history. As predicted by the prophets, this territory has been a battleground for as long as history can remember. The nations of the world are holding Gazans hostage, not Israel. Let's look at examples of people fleeing their nations in war. If we go back to the 1950s, we see those fleeing conflicts between India and Pakistan are staggering in numbers at 8,500,000 people. Sikhs and Hindus from Pakistan fled to India, and roughly 6,500,000 Muslims moved from India to Pakistan. Let's look more at modern examples such as the civil war in Syria. As of December 2022, a minimum of 580,000 people were estimated to be dead, with 13 million Syrians being displaced as 6.7 million refugees were forced to flee Syria, with billions of dollars being given to those fleeing to start new lives in other countries. Over 6 million refugees have fled Ukraine due to the war, and at least 5.9 million Afghans have fled the country due to war, and the total number of Afghans in neighboring countries is 8.2 million. The population of Gaza is much less than this at 2 million people. The situations, however, are very similar. Brutal tyrants such as Hamas have seized control, not allowing any Gazans to leave at any time whatsoever. And it's the same with neighboring Arab countries and other nations of the world. They forbid Gazans to flee Gaza to escape Hamas. This level of hypocrisy is unbelievable. And it's ridiculous that billions of dollars are spent to save the lives of those fleeing their countries to find safety elsewhere, but Gazans are denied this right, all because of the hatred of Israel. To create this petrol issue of Gaza that keeps a perception that Israel is creating a humanitarian crisis that can never be solved, because all in the minds of the people this whole time, Israel is evil. So when nations say they're doing all they can to help Gaza, it's a lie. There's more than just sending humanitarian aid and finances, which we know does not go to help the people, but instead goes to the leaders of Hamas and their sympathizers. And now, unfortunately, Gaza will be branded as the home of Hamas. And we pray and we hope for an amazing future for the people of Gaza, but until they embrace God's covenant land of Israel, I don't see it. And as much as anything, the beautiful land of Gaza is now scarred with the most unbelievable system of tunnels that have ever been created for the sole purpose of terrorism. And don't be fooled. This is not a system of tunnels for trade or any other financial reason. The cost alone is multiple billions of dollars. And the impact that these tunnel systems will have for years to come on the land of Gaza has yet to be realized. The tunnels which Hamas built in Gaza have hundreds, if not thousands, of tunnel shafts exiting from homes, schools, kindergartens, hospitals, mosques, and UN facilities. The Gaza tunnels are 160% larger than the London Underground, which is the subway system in London. Yet the Gaza Strip is only 23% the size of London. Gaza tunnels are 600 kilometers in comparison to London's Underground, which is 400 kilometers. In New York City subway, for example, is 399 kilometers, Paris 227, Washington 208, and in Tokyo Metro is 195. Gaza's is more than 600. It is important to note, through all of these difficulties and all these situations, that Gaza is loved by the Lord. And as believers, we too should love the people of Gaza. It is our prayer that the Lord intervenes and he rids the people of Gaza from their demonic and brutal leaders, and that a true miracle of peace would occur between Gaza and Israel. We long for the day when we can embrace Gazans as a part of the nation of Israel, as those delivered and redeemed by Yeshua the Messiah, the true King of Israel and the true King of the land of Gaza as well. Please consider helping Ma'oz Israel Ministries. Please come alongside us in this very difficult time of war to help us strengthen Israel, as we know the rebuilding process after the war is going to take a long time, and it's going to take a lot of help. Please pray about partnering with us in prayer and financial commitment. Now's the time to say with words and deeds that I stand with Israel because Israel needs you. With Ma'oz Israel, I'm Kobe Ferguson. Shalom, shalom.
You want to know about what's happening in Israel right now? Do you want to understand biblical truths and understand the rich culture of the people and the land itself, the land of Israel? Then click on the link now and subscribe to our YouTube channel to learn about these things and much, much more. Subscribe now.